blockchain and NFTs, and we've heard the expert. It's time for us to introduce you to the star of our next segment, which we call Living in the Future. Let me introduce you to Ayush Ranjan, who's the co-founder and CEO at Huddle01, who has outdone himself with the use of the upcoming new technology. Ayush, welcome to the Blockchain Startup Show. Let me begin by addressing the elephant in the room. Now, according to you, Web3, is it a trend or is it here to stay?
In Web3, what's exactly happening is that you decentralize the technology, that's good, but you are also decentralizing the value. And that's what is happening in a lot of cases. What I mean by this is that now the value is being distributed between people itself. Giving you simple examples of that would be various kinds of infrastructure. I talk more about infrastructure because Huddle01 is an infrastructure itself, is that we're seeing a lot of infrastructures which are coming up, which essentially helps even people to essentially run their own infrastructure at their own home, which is called home servers itself. So when you do these kind of things, you're able to essentially use your own laptop, your own compute device, your own bandwidth, the geo Wi-Fi which you have at your home, all of these things, use it to empower any kind of architecture which is out there. So this is how our internet is working right now itself. It's completely changing on the flip of it, essentially, from completely moving from a client server architecture, which has been working, which has been like the whole crux of the web world. We're moving to a different kind of world where now anywhere at their home can run their own computers and they can earn money from it at the end of the day. And that helps in a variety of aspects. The first is privacy itself. The second is performance. And the third is a new bottom-up economy which is coming up itself. I think that's one of the reasons why Web3 will be going much more into detail and much more into the hands of people itself. Yeah.
So can you describe your journey? Tell us a little bit more about how you got into Web3. What was that moment when you realized this is a big thing? It's the next big thing.
In terms of how I started, I'm an electrical engineer by my education itself. I did my engineering, graduated in 2016 from LNMIT Jaipur. And post that, I worked in a lot of growth-based companies in India itself, in Bangalore, specifically Taskpop and Zepho, which is similar to hyperlocal service like OpenClap, and then worked in Zepho as well, which is in Bangalore, very similar to Amazon, but for all these huge appliances and furnitures. But what essentially I realized, I was working more towards growth and marketing there. I used to use something called as Google AdWords a lot. But Google AdWords is used to show ads to people wherever they go or where they go. And I have that superpower to send people ads, show them ads, and get a good ROI out of it in terms of the startups I was working at. But I soon realized that the way we are showing these ads to people, there's no way to completely opt out of it. I cannot completely opt out of the Google Display Network itself. And when I was trying to know these customer interviews, I really talk to customers. I realized that, hey, your product is really good, guys, but could you please show me the ads? And that's where I realized that could there be a better way to advertise while not tracking users and even users getting something out of it. And that's where in 2019 I stumbled upon Brave browser. It's exactly like Chrome. You can use it exactly. There's no kind of a learning curve. But when you log into Brave, it's like magic. You get to see ads and you get basic attention to them as a reward for it. So you are incentivized to see ads. So now your click-through rate has improved. You're having a better experience. You're not getting tracked, and it's a win-win for you. And that was like, hey, this new bottom-up economy is completely changing all the markets altogether. That's how I completely jumped into the bandwagon of Web3 itself.
Let's understand a little bit more about Huddle01. How did it come into picture, and what are some of the ways in which Huddle is currently being used?
Absolutely. So Huddle01 is essentially building a real-time communication. What we are doing is a real-time communication engine itself. We have a three-pronged approach. We have an app exactly like Zoom. It's a sufficiently decentralized platform. Done more than 25,000 meetings, more than 600,000 minutes of the meetings have been consumed on the platform itself. Messari is one of our biggest clients. Messari is one of the biggest names in the world of Web3 itself. And a couple of other NFT-based communities, DAOs, or if they ever uses it. You can do all of these, you can do also, but you don't need to log it via your virtual authentication. That means I don't take your data, I don't take your name, I don't take your email, nothing. You log in via something called as your wallets, where you own your own data, and you share only your public address, whatever you want to share. That's one. Second is that you're able to use all these new primitives like NFTs as your avatar. That means if I don't want to switch on my video, I can switch off my video, can use my NFT as my avatars. The second, where essentially now all the live stream also is done in a decentralized fashion. That means we use something called as live peer for doing the live stream directly onto YouTube itself in a decentralized fashion completely. The authentication is decentralized. The third is the recording. Now all the recordings which are done so far itself, they are done on the cloud itself. That means on Amazon S3 or on Glacier. We said that, hey, hold on, let's try to do recording on a different architecture which is decentralized in nature. So we are doing it on IPFS, and IPFS is interplanetary file system, and Filecoin essentially a proper decentralized storage network itself. Now here, first of all, when you store here, it's cryptographically encrypted. That means I cannot see any of your recording itself. So that's number one. Second is that it's extremely cheap as compared to any of the other safes which are out there.
I know for a fact that Huddle is built on Filecoin. So how was the experience? How is it different than building on, say, a centralized platform?
Absolutely. So Filecoin is a proper decentralized storage network itself. That means taking an analogy of it, there is a reason why OYO completely went into the market and completely took over the market from hotels. The reason was very simple, or even Airbnb itself. So Airbnb also took over the hotels because you can open Airbnbs right at the phone itself. So now if there are a lot of people, that means there's a lot of supply. That means you have a better economics itself. So the competition increases, the price goes down. So that is what is happening with Filecoin as well. There are so many miners. By miners, I mean there's so many people who can just use their artist, which is just sitting in their own home of 10 people and make them as a node itself. And you can store all the prices there. And then they'll say that, hey, I can do that in let's suppose 10 rupees itself, rather than paying 50 rupees to an Amazon AWS S3. So because of these competitions itself, your quality also increases because there's a better kind of quality check, but your also prices increases over time. So essentially it's an Airbnb for storage as compared to hotels, which are the AWS S3 and Glaciers of today.
So Ayush, we spoke about Web3, Zoom, but what are some of the other apps or platforms that can be targeted? You think we can have, say, Web3 Netflix too? And if yes, how do you think that's going to be different?
Yeah, so I think the first change is happening on the YouTube level itself. I think there'll be more spiral down effects towards that. So when you do like the live streaming onto YouTube itself, you can actually do the chat. You can do a super chat. You can send a sticker and stuff like that. But still, YouTube takes around 30 to 40% of that as well. Now, what's happening here is that people are building their own players itself, very similar to YouTube, just for the creator economy, where now you can directly tip your creator if you like that creator itself. Let's suppose Beer Biceps, you like it, directly tip Beer Biceps himself, and he takes all the value out of it. There is no middleman in terms of 40% which YouTube takes. And this is what you can do even on Huddle01 right now. So that means you can just directly stream the score, because everywhere video conference is required. Just stream the score onto your own player itself. And then you can also do this tipping as well to people in future. And you get all that money which was actually being given away to the what's taken by the YouTube as well. So I think that's what is happening. And then over time, as you're mentioning, more kind of this will empower creators, and more of these indie kind of films will start coming up on these Web3 Netflix competitors itself. There's things like LensTube already happening, which is the competitor of YouTube on the Lens protocol, and a couple of more others. Very exciting times.
Well, Ayush, that was a great conversation, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. And that brings us to a close on this very special episode of the Blockchain Startup Show. We'll see you next week with a discussion on other topics revolving around blockchain and with a new inspiring story. Till then, keep watching ETNOW.